This is Creepy and Geeky, a part of the Morbidly Beautiful Podcast Network. Welcome to Creepy and Geeky. I'm your host, Robert, and on today's What's Your Favorite Double Feature episode, Amber Knapp joins me to talk about Phantom of the Mall, Eric's Revenge, and Chopping Mall. Amber is the owner of the blog, Another One for the Fire. Welcome back to the show, Amber.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you again, so much for the fourth time and just let me ramble
Yeah.
about things. I mean, I had a lot of the double feature options, a lot of them. I think we're going to be fun and all discussion worthy, but this one I think is going to be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, this one was interesting. For sure. I'd only seen one of them before.
Yeah.
So it was definitely it was a fun watch. But why don't you tell me what was it that made you want to talk about these two movies with me?
I think it just kind of came down to, I mean, like I said, I had a lot of options and a lot of them almost had like a three-way Venn diagram of movies that could be paired up together.
Right.
And like Choppy Mall's become an old reliable for me. Like if nothing's on, I don't know what to watch. It's that like 77-minute camp
Yeah.
that's just super fun and you can toss it on whenever. And then I think with Phantom of the Mall, actually I think both of these movies were ones I caught them when they hit like Shudder and everybody's like throwing up the flags like, hey, Shudder got this one. We win. We got this one now. And I watched it and I was like, oh, this is so campy. And both of them have a lot of actors that just kind of show up and you're like, oh, wait, they're in this?
Yeah.
Like Pauly Shore showing up in Phantom of the Mall. And it's like, all right, they're both camp. It's great.
Yeah. No, it that's what I thought was funny because I had the Phantom of the Mall was the one I hadn't seen before.
Hmm.
And so I watched the trailer for it and I was like, oh, Rob Estes and Pauly Shore, that's interesting.
Hmm.
Um, and it's definitely Pauly Shore before he became Pauly Shore.
Hmm.
Um, because this is what
This was
like
89.
yeah, so like 3 years before Encino Man. So in Encino Man, he's fully Pauly Shore at that point. And and I think he's funny. He doesn't bother me. Like I'm not like a super huge fan of his or anything like that, but I think he's great in Encino Man.
Yeah, I think all I've actually seen him in is like this and then Son-in-Law.
Oh, that's funny. You
Yeah.
should watch Encino Man. Encino Man's funny. It's
Yep,
really good.
that one's another blind spot. I know I have in terms of like the cult kind of
Yeah.
comedies. That's a blind spot that I have.
But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about Phantom of the Mall first.
Okay.
Um, so this was an interesting one because it does follow along with the general plot of the Phantom of the Opera.
Hmm.
That a woman, loses her love, and but he's possibly haunting the mall, and
Hmm.
um, there's nothing supernatural going on. It's just a dude who lost his house, and because his house used to be where the mall now sits.
Hmm.
And I did think it was funny that the mall here is the same mall in both of these movies. It's literally the same exact mall, um, and it's
It
also
didn't
this.
even click to me
Yeah,
at first.
no,
Like just looking through IMDb and I'm like, oh, that's the other part of the Venn diagram. These are literally the same
yeah,
mall.
literally the same mall. They're also the same mall that's in Fast Times at Ridgemont High and Commando. And so for me, I'm a big Commando fan. It's a goofy
What
Arnold
was the other
Schwarzenegger
one?
movie. But yeah, it's hilarious to see it in so many different movies.
Hmm.
Let me see. It's
Oh yeah, it was the Valley Girl Mall.
yeah, Valley Girl.
Okay, I love
Uh
Valley Girl.
yeah, the Sherman Oaks Galleria.
Hmm.
That's the mall that it is in, that it was used in multiple movies. Let's see.
Yep. It was what,
It
T2 Judgment Day was another one.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
So Arnold's been in it a couple of times.
Yep.
So, but yeah, no, that's what was funny to me, was that it was the same mall that they were all in, and especially in a couple other movies that I've seen a lot more. Um, but yeah, no, this I will say I didn't love this movie, but
Mhm.
it was fine. Let's see,
Yeah.
I gave it 2.5 stars. Um, I think I think it just
I think I gave it 3 out of 5. Like
yeah.
that
I gave
steady middle ground.
I gave Chopping Mall 3. So
Mhm.
um but I
I
do
think
like
the
Chopping
last
Mall
time I
more.
watched, yeah, I think the last time I watched Chopping Mall, I think I gave it the 5 out of 5 no notes. I just progressively kept going up, and I think after we scheduled this, I'm like 5 out of 5 no
Yeah,
notes. Shopping Mall is
that's
perfect.
that's funny. Yeah, no, but like with Phantom of the Mall, like I think keeping to the overall structure of the Phantom story isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I don't think it helps it any either. It's only a few days. And
Yeah.
and don't get me wrong, I'm not against people falling in love fast, but for somebody who was still pining after her boyfriend who died a
Hmm.
year ago, she falls in love with Rob Estes' character really fast. And immediately just says, I don't want to have anything to do with you anymore.
Hmm.
It's
The
just
dude that looks straight out of 90210. Like, I was trying to figure out, like, how do you describe this guy's face? And this is like
the original
chiseled
Eric.
90210. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Eric, yeah, Eric looked good. But before the burn,
Yeah.
after the burn, he looks um like half normal and half toxic Avenger. So
Like that or the no, I don't even remember. I think it was like the end of Hostel.
yeah.
The eyeball thing, not to bring up that, but
Yeah.
it's vaguely what it reminds me of.
Yeah, so I mean, but the movie overall it's okay. It's
Hmm.
not great, but the ultimate story is that these people open this mall and they haven't even had their grand opening yet. And
Hmm.
they're still going to do there's still parts that need to be opened at the mall. And they're doing everything they can. And you find out through the course of it that the the guy who owns the mall and the mayor all
Hmm.
conspired to um do whatever they needed to get this mall built, because they
Hmm.
were trying to build up the town or whatever. And and that included burning the guy's house down,
Hmm.
that uh who is the boyfriend here, Eric. And
Hmm.
so obviously he's got a vendetta against the mall and those who did
Hmm.
it. So I mean that makes sense. Um,
Yeah.
but it's funny to see him walking through the air ducts of
Hmm.
this mall. These air ducts are huge. Like he can literally like stand up and walk through them. And
Hmm.
then there's like it gets down to the bottom, like underneath it and everything, and it's all subterranean and everything. It's like this basement area that's
Yeah.
like just hollowed out. It's just I don't know, it just defies logic. um
Mm.
yeah,
You're not supposed to notice that.
yeah, exactly. But and he's got this like he's just stealing things from the mall, so he's like working out down there, and
Hmm.
because he's got to keep himself physically fit. um
I do kind of
which
like how
is
they like explain that all. It's almost like Dawn of the Dead, reminiscent of them taking the stuff back
yeah,
and making it livable.
yeah,
It's like, no, he's
exactly.
not just randomly superhuman power. No, he's down in the basement practicing martial arts.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. There's a martial art. Yeah, there's him practicing martial arts sequence, and
hmm.
then
As you do in a Phantom movie.
yeah, he's lifting weights at one point, so it's like, okay, so that's why he's strong,
Hmm.
so it's just really silly. Um, it's um, but like, what is it? It's the big names in this obviously are Rob Estes, who went on to
Hmm.
do the TV show Silk Stockings. He plays the reporter in this that
Hmm.
are the main girl character. I forget her name now. But
Oh, me
he's the
too.
one she falls in love with.
Yeah.
Polly Shore is one of her friends. And he's playing a very Polly Shore type of character. He's not quite to the level he gets to in just a few years, but
Hmm.
he's close. Um,
He kind of turns
and
out to be the MVP in this movie too,
yeah, yeah,
in a
yeah,
lot of ways. It's
yeah,
like never underestimate the funny guy. He kind of comes through in the end.
yeah. No, he discovers things. He discovers the subliminal messages that are like
Hmm.
that they're pumping through the sound system. Um,
Hmm.
which I thought was great too. That was a good sequence because I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. And they've got and Rob Estes characters like, well, it's not illegal, so we really can't do anything about it. Um, it's like, well, you could still write a article about it. Like you don't have to like you're a reporter, not a cop. Write a article about
Hmm.
it and say, hey, they're using subliminal messaging. That would tarnish their brand. Um,
Hmm.
that's why he didn't go to the cops. He knew it wasn't legal or illegal.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, it's just um uh, um what is it? Morgan Fairchild, she plays
Hmm.
the mayor in this. But you mentioned Dawn of the Dead, which is, another mall movie. We got Ken
Hmm.
Foree, who plays one of the security guards in this. It's a
Yeah, which I think was like
small,
the biggest jaw drop for me when I
yeah,
saw it. I was like, hang on.
I know. Yeah, same. I was like, hey, wait a minute. Yeah, it was
Insert
it
Leo pointing gif.
right.
Which happens a lot in like both of these movies, really.
Yeah.
It's a lot of hey, it's that.
Hey, I know this person. Yeah, it was funny to see him, even though it's a very small role and he doesn't get a
Hmm.
lot of screen time, which
Hmm.
is always kind of disappointing. Because I've watched a couple of movies recently, this one and another one that both have Ken Foree in them and in very small parts, and I'm always just like, why isn't he not getting bigger roles? Like especially in these horror movies,
No.
like it's just like you're gonna just put him in and that's it. So
Yeah. Like the kind of presence that he
yeah,
has to also just realize that I'm wearing my Dawn of the Dead Fright Rags pants. So I
there you
literally have an
go.
image of Ken Foree just looking up at me as I'm recording this.
Well, there you go. Yeah, no,
Oh,
so it's just yeah, it's an okay movie. It's not
yeah.
terrible. I may have
Mhm.
scored it low, but that was just because it didn't work for me necessarily. But
Yeah.
I think it's still worth the watch. It has its moments, and it's um, fun to see the bits, with some of these actors. That helps elevate it some. So
Hmm. But see the random actors, and then honestly, these kills were pretty great.
yeah, yeah,
For as like corny as everything is, it's like, no, we're just gonna slowly strangle him in the escalator, which is like the
right,
shark in the pool fear for
yeah,
me. So like that hit,
yeah,
and then he sets the guy on fire. It's like, no, these for as corny as this is, it's like, oh, okay.
yeah. No, it's pretty brutal. Yeah. And for 80s, for the 80s, so
Hmm. Well, we
you
just had
know
like the creative kills
yeah,
like
yeah,
that type of fun.
so yeah, no, so it's a good fun movie.
I
Just
think the
no
one
going in,
thing
it's
that
very
like,
80s.
oh yeah, it's very 80s, very campy, but it was definitely worth it. Like I went and bought the Arrow
There you go.
release after this. I was like, all right, I'm down. Because I think like what sealed it for me was hearing the Vandals theme song
Oh my
for it
gosh,
during the credits.
that is a ridiculous
Like
theme
it's
song.
like we did this in the 80s. Like we're starting to get a little bit of like a kind of revival, quote unquote, with like the random band doing the theme song because like Ghost had it for Halloween Kills and
Yeah,
Insidious Red Door, they had those like, we need to bring this back more.
That was another ghost song with Insidious Red
Hmm.
Door. And then what is it? Scream 6 had the Demi Lovato song.
Yep.
And then what's it called? Psycho Gorman had the PG rap.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That I really need to rewatch that because the
Oh
first
my
time I
god.
watched Gorman, it didn't quite work for me.
Oh
Like,
wow.
like
Okay.
I saw why people loved it, but it didn't quite hit for me.
Right.
But I do have to rewatch it.
Yeah, I've tried to get people to watch it, and the couple of people that did watch it based on my recommendation did not like it. And so I'm like, okay. I was like, I don't know why this worked well for me, but not for others.
It works well for a lot of people, so I really felt like I was in kind of the minority of it.
And I can
And I think,
understand why it doesn't work
yeah.
for everybody. It is a wildly weird movie, but yeah,
I mean, the
I try
Hunky
to
Boys I
recommend
will
it.
still quote. The Hunky Boys is still so funny to me.
That's hilarious. Yeah, no, the whole I love them. I love that movie. I
Mhm.
immediately when on a tangent here, but I saw the trailer and was like, okay, I'm in. And so once it
Mhm.
came out to digital, I bought it, and
Mhm.
then loved it so much that I also bought like the super collector's edition that they sold only in Canada. Um so
Nice.
that I could get the nice like slip cover and everything. I mean, it's thankfully I live in the region, so it wasn't like I didn't have to worry
Mhm.
about bad region coding or anything. So but
Yeah.
yeah, no, I love that movie, and I will hype it constantly. But yeah, no, with Phantom of the Mall, I think it's a good movie.
Mhm.
It's not great for me, but I enjoyed it enough.
Mhm.
And like I said, it was fun to see the other actors in it that either had been in other stuff before
Mhm.
and were now kind of slumming it, or um people like Rob Estes and Polly Shore who hadn't yet quite made it, and
Mhm.
this was like a stepping stone on the way to that. So
Yeah. I think almost what it is, because I think the first time I watched it alone, just like on my laptop on Shutter, I think was what
right,
got it. But then after that, after I bought it, I watched it with my boyfriend. So we like had kind of like the riff going back and forth and like laughing at the cheesy things. And
right,
I remember like he got a kick and like rolled his eyes out of the last line where she's like, I guess Eric got what he wanted. And he's like, I did one better. I got you. And it's like the eye roll so cheesy.
yeah,
And then it just kicks into the Vandals. And it's like, oh my God, this is so bad, but it's
yeah,
so good. And I do think that like watching stuff with a group of people who are into it, at least for the fun of it, versus watching it alone does make
right.
a massive difference.
And I do think that's true too. Like I have a tendency where I watch these things by myself, and so like it
Hmm.
might be more fun if I were watching it with somebody else, that it would
Hmm.
enhance it somewhat. Um, but again, don't think the movie itself isn't going to be any better. It's just a watching experience for sure to give it
Right.
that communal, goofy experience. So
Yeah. 'Cause I mean, my standard for movies has gone from like, is it great to do I at least have like fun for 90 minutes? Kind of like, does
yeah,
it take me out of reality enough and let me enjoy it?
yeah. Yeah, no, that I think it could be a good watch, a good fun watch with people, but by yourself,
Hmm.
it's just okay.
Yeah.
But but
I think like if you had like a Halloween party, it would be fun.
yeah, yeah,
Or like people who are all into fandom related stuff. Because I know
yeah.
that was the other one I brought up was this and like Phantom of the Paradise
Phantom of
together,
the Paradise, yeah,
which I
yeah,
freaking love.
yeah. And I like Phantom of the Paradise. I think I wanted to when you offered these up, I thought the mall thing was
Hmm.
the better route to go with these, which
Yeah.
I think was accurate. It's fun to see two movies set in the same location,
Hmm.
and see how they both worked it.
I mean,
Um,
really could just do a whole episode on the Sherman Oaks Galleria
Right?
in
That's what's
that
funny.
stable.
But yeah, but yeah, speaking of, let's go ahead and move over to Chopping Mall.
Mhm.
Which Chopping Mall I actually own. Um,
Oh yeah, that what is it? The
the Vestron
Vision
video,
Vestron. Yep,
yeah,
I have
the
that one.
Vestron Video Collector series. It's actually the first movie in the Vestron Video Collector series that they put out. They put it out at the same time as Blood Diner, which I have not yet
Hmm.
watched.
I
And
haven't. I've
I'd
listened to
watched,
podcasts on it, but I haven't
yeah,
watched it.
yeah, I'd watched Chopping Mall before on Shudder, I think,
Yeah.
when it was on there earlier. Um, but this last time I watched my disc.
Hmm.
It's it's a fun movie. It's this one, like I said, I gave this one 3 stars. This one I think is more fun,
Hmm.
just because it's very silly. It's got a quick run time, like you said, it's like 77 minutes. It's
Hmm.
real quick. You get Barbara Crampton, Kelly Maroney, um, you
Which
get
is another one, dude. Chopping Mall and Night of the Comet with
yeah,
them two in
yeah,
them all.
and I'm pretty sure I think maybe Night of the Comet was in this mall
Yep, Night of the
too,
Comet
actually.
was also from Sherman Oaks.
Yeah, so yeah. But
I think I
yeah.
had in my notes, what was it? Because I did this and I did a rewatch of Reanimator, which is another one where it took me like 3 watches to like actually get into it.
Oh, okay.
But I think I had where I almost pitched Shopping Mall and Reanimator with the theme being Barbara Crampton gets done dirty and you see her topless in parentheses.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
gets she gets it bad in both movies. Like she didn't deserve that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, this one she gets it really bad. For sure.
Hmm.
Um yeah, it's this one yeah, this one we also get appearances by um Mary Warrenov,
Hmm.
Dick Smith. You get a really small cameo by Garrett Graham from Phantom of the Paradise and Terror Vision
Hmm.
and lots of other horror stuff. And it's funny too when they go into like, talking about all the people who were in like movies and stuff like that. His name wasn't even listed. So that was more of a,
Hmm.
oh yeah, hey, he's in this too. So
I didn't even realize it was him.
yeah.
And I think I put in my notes, I was like, Garrett Graham's in this, aka my beef from Phantom of the Paradise. For like
Yeah.
3 seconds.
Yeah. So I mean, this could have been an interesting triple feature,
Hmm.
connecting Phantom of the Paradise with Phantom of the Mall and Chopping Mall. Um,
Like those 3-step like triple features are really fun.
yeah.
Because I did one with my friend for Christmas. We did Violent Night, followed by Home Alone, followed by Goodfellas. It's
That's
just like
funny.
those one steps aside, almost like the
Yeah.
Kevin Bacon 6 degrees. It's like, no, these are fun.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but yeah, this one was to me, this one was a lot more fun. Like I said,
Hmm.
it's got the quick runtime. It's got a simple setup. They've installed these new robot like sentries um at this mall that are supposed to stop the theft in the mall. And the only thing that can there's a safety concern. All the people who work in the mall are like, okay, well, what do we do? And they're like, well, you just show them your badge and they'll stop. Well, lightning strikes the mall and turns the robots from good to bad.
Hmm.
Which apparently is the opposite of what happens in the movie Short Circuit, where lightning strikes a
Hmm.
killer robot and turns him good. So
Hmm.
it's a funny little Hollywood trick they like to do.
I
Um,
totally forgot about Short Circuit too.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So it's an interesting, it's a fun movie. We got the killer robots obviously go on a rampage, and then you've got a group of young adults who work in the mall, who 3 guys and 3 girls, and they're all meeting up in the furniture store to have sex with each other. Um, you
Hmm.
know, which is funny too because they're not in like separate sections. They're all like real close to each
No,
other, so they're all just listening to each other have sex, and yeah, it's ridiculous.
I was watching it a little bit before we were recording, and I totally forgot that she like does this super dramatic moan, and they're like, "Chop one out to the furniture gang."
Yeah, yeah,
Because
because
I mean,
she's
not
like,
to kink shame, but like, who yells, "You're the king"?
yeah, you're the king. Yeah, especially when you know your friends are around. You think you'd be trying to downplay things and be a little bit more quiet, but no.
No, I think my
Uh,
favorite one is what is it, Susie and what's his name? Is it Ricky? Is the guy with
I'm not
Susie?
sure.
Where he's like, "You smell like pepperoni." I like pepperoni.
No, yeah, it's just, oh man, it's just so silly. It's I don't even know how to explain it. It's just goofy. Um, but yeah, Kelly Maroney's character is like, she's the one without a guy. But they're introducing her to one of the guys from the furniture store. Which you would think that if the other two girls already had boyfriends with guys from the furniture store, she would already know this guy anyway.
Hmm.
So, maybe he was new to the furniture store. I don't know. It wasn't really well
I mean, he is
explained.
kind of like the one who's, I don't want to say uptight, but he's the one who's still trying to maintain the professional stuff while we're
Yeah.
talking about partying. Because I also put in my notes in all caps, "Fuck the fuchsia, it's Friday."
Yeah.
I think my
Uh
favorite line delivery in the whole movie is just "fuck the fuchsia."
yeah, no, it's a goofy fun movie. It's just silly.
It
Yeah.
leans into it too. I
Yeah.
think like both this and Phantom of the Mall are goofy, but I think Chopping Mall leans into the goofiness, but not Phantom of the Paradise, Phantom of the Mall still tries to take
It's
things
trying to still,
seriously.
yeah, it's still trying to take it seriously. And I think that's what ultimately hurts Phantom of the Mall is that they should have leaned into the camp and
Hmm.
the weird aspect of it because it's like everything is screaming that
Hmm.
you should be taking it that direction, but it never goes that direction. They should have played it more
Yeah.
um not necessarily for laughs, but more for camp. And that
Hmm.
it's, yeah, I think that's what ultimately like they're trying to keep it too serious and it
Hmm.
just doesn't quite work.
Yeah.
And
It's like
you're
you
right
have,
with Choppy Mall,
yeah.
they've really kind of, but even Choppy Mall, it doesn't get silly or there's no bad jokes or anything like that. It's just the concept itself is just silly enough that even though they're playing it straight in Choppy Mall, it was
Hmm.
still works as being silly because the concept itself is very silly.
Hmm.
It's
Like
like
it's silly. Yeah.
playing it serious in Choppy Mall is camp itself. So
Hmm.
it's like I don't know how it doesn't work quite right for both of these movies, but it's just like it just doesn't. So,
Hmm.
but yeah.
Hmm. I was reading, James Wan loves this movie, and
Yeah, he's
he
supposedly
apparently,
gonna remake it. Yeah.
yeah, or like wants to make something like it,
Yeah.
which I could be really fun, especially, the world of AI robots. It's like right there
Yeah.
to do it, and
I
I would have
mean,
faith in James Wan. It would just feel very niche
yeah.
almost.
Yeah, and I mean, they did do Megan. So, I mean, he was
True.
involved in Megan being made. So, who knows?
Megan versus Killbots.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be
I
funny.
liked Megan, so I could see it
Oh, I
working.
loved Megan. Megan was great. It was
I think Megan was
definitely.
one of my surprise watches where I watched it and I was like, I like this more than I thought I was.
I was sold on Megan as soon as I saw the first trailer, so I was I was
Hmm.
I was down for that, and thankfully the movie did not disappoint. So
Hmm.
it's rare. It's not rare, but it's always a nice surprise when
Hmm.
something that um you think is going to be great ends up being great.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's yeah, this Choppy Mall is a lot more fun, I think, because you've got where like I said, with the people who you had in the last movie where they were famous, um, like Rob Estes and Pauly Shore,
Hmm.
and Morgan Fairchild. You had people who weren't horror people who just
Yeah.
popped up. They were people who were, just normal, regular actors. Morgan Fairchild was known more for, you know, other, glossier stuff.
So
And
wasn't she in a soap opera?
I
I could
think
be
so. I
wrong.
can't
Yeah.
remember. Like I think she was on like one of the nighttime soaps. Um,
Not like I don't have IMDb in front of me
yeah,
because I feel like I should know this because the only thing I've ever actually seen her in outside of this was Slam and Salmon.
I don't even know what that is. That's funny. Um,
It's hilarious. And she essentially kind of plays herself, where she's like a big actress.
oh, okay. Um, but yeah, she
Oh, she was on General Hospital. That
oh,
one.
there you go.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so she's been in some stuff. The only horror person in Phantom of the Mall was Ken Foree.
Hmm.
And so, the only person I recognize, maybe there were other people in there that, had been in other stuff. But with Chopping Mall, you had Barbara Crampton and Kelly Maroney, who'd been
Hmm.
in, a couple of other horror things by this point. And for me,
Hmm.
coming at it from years later, especially seeing Barbara Crampton after I've seen her in multiple other things, it's always good
Yep.
to, and that's what I think is funny about Barbara Crampton too, is Barbara Crampton was known for being a soap opera actress as well. And she's done both pretty consistently throughout her career. So she's,
Hmm.
this icon of horror, but also super well known as a soap opera actress. So it's funny
I
to
almost
have
kind of
both
feel
sides of that.
like her and Dee Wallace kind of have that similar thing
Right.
of it because I met Dee Wallace at a con, had her sign my Halloween. My friend had a Lords of Salem thing. Like she's all about horror.
Yeah.
And then my mom's really big on watching the 911 TV shows,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
she shows up on there, and I'm like, oh hey.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's what's so funny is she pops up in everything, but yeah, she's also like big
Hmm.
horror royalty who's been in so many horror things that you just like, okay, yeah, because my wife has been watching Grimm.
Yep.
It's one of her favorite shows, so she's on a rewatch of it. And she shows up as one of the parents of one of the main characters. And so it's just funny because every time I'm like, oh hey, it's D Wallace. So it's just it's hilarious to see her pop up and just weird random stuff all the
Which,
time.
speaking of rewatches and doing that, we were doing our Superstore rewatch,
Oh yeah.
and I totally forgot that Sean Whalen shows up in it, and he plays like a total like stringy hair creep weirdo, and he's like, this one's eyes are alive, this one's look dead inside, and it's like, oh my God, this is. I mean, Twister was people under the stairs since like no, he plays creepy so funny. Like I know
That's
he's a
funny.
super nice guy, but it's just so funny
Right.
that like half of what he plays is creepy.
Right. But yeah, Chopping Mall's fun. I like
Yeah.
the robot design. I think they're funny. I think it's funny too because the movie was originally put out as a under the title Killbots
Yep.
in testing. It wasn't actually put out in the main theaters like that. And then it tested so poorly they ended up cutting 15 minutes or what is it 19 minutes of
Yeah.
it and renaming it Chopping Mall. So part of me kind of wants to see, and it's not on the disc, but part of me would have loved to have seen like the longer extended cut just to
Yeah.
see what they cut out um to make it better.
Yeah. No, I think whatever they cut might have actually been just entirely lost, which
Yeah.
sucks because I'm very curious
Yeah, yeah.
about it.
I think it's definitely because they cut it before release. I
Hmm.
think that's one of those things where yeah, they probably just chopped it up, threw it out, and we're like, nope, we don't need this. So yeah, that's always
Yeah.
disappointing because nowadays they definitely um will cut things out and then they'll go, okay, we're gonna save that, we're gonna put that on the Blu-ray or the DVD or
Hmm.
whatever, and you know,
Yeah. It'll be
back at
archived
yeah,
somewhere.
exactly. Back in the 80s, they weren't thinking about that. So,
No. They were thinking about the upgraded 4K release that everybody wants all the special features on.
Right, exactly. But yeah, no, they this is a fun movie. That I like I
Mm.
said, I like this one a lot better. That they it's funny too because you don't really I didn't think like that Kelly Maroney was going to be the one to make it out. Um not because
That's my
she wasn't
underrated final girl
hey,
right there.
yeah. It's just because she seems like the more mild one. You kind of feel like the one girl that's gonna make it out is the repair, like the car repair girl.
Oh yeah,
You
her and
know,
then oh what's his face from Friday Part Two.
yeah.
That I can't think of his name. I just know he was tall, dark, and
Was it the
handsome.
guy playing? Was it the guy playing her husband?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, but yeah, you thought they might make it out. That Barbara Crampton would make it out. But no, and Barbara Crampton, like you said, she gets done dirty in this one. She like
Hmm.
it's so bad. It's she ends up burning alive.
Yeah, like
Um,
we're gonna shoot her once in the calf, and she's just gonna be down for the count and then burn alive, and it's like,
yeah,
ah.
yeah, because you think they're gonna run over her at first, but no, it's
Burning over would have been relatively better.
yeah, maybe. I don't know, but yeah, no, it's a terrible way to go out. But yeah, it's it's a it was this was an interesting double feature, just
Mm,
because it's one, you've got the human element, and the other one you got rogue AI. Um,
hmm
and I love the rogue AI because we're still dealing with it.
hmm
It's not, nothing's changed. Which I think
Which
is
is really
why
where
doing a
James Bond has the
yeah,
argument.
yeah,
Yeah.
which is why I think that it would make for um a good remake, especially if you make something. And I wouldn't want him to go too silly and make it like
No.
humanoid robots or anything like that. I would want him to like literally keep the same Killbot design. um because I think that would be
Including the
more fun.
plastic toys.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I
So
think
wasn't
it's
there a
funny
video
too.
that like just went around of like Japan having security robots?
Yeah,
I swear to God, I saw it because like somebody
yeah,
tagged like Kelly Maroney on Twitter on it, and they're like, "Hey, this looks familiar."
yeah, yeah. um
Hmm.
I think it's funny too. They said, I was reading up on it, and they had five of these robots made, but only two of them worked at a time. That would work fully remote, like through remote
Hmm.
control, which was great. They had
No.
two that worked fully, and one that they had to like they could work, but it had to be wired. And then the other two were just completely um just there to put in the background. Um,
Hmm.
but or to explode or whatever they need to
Right.
do with them. But yeah, no, and this they mess up this mall too. Hopefully
Hmm.
it wasn't the real mall. Hopefully they took that out to someplace else and
As they,
recreated it
yeah,
somewhere.
because they said they filmed it over like 22 days, with
Yeah,
20 days in the mall itself and 2 days on like a sound stage.
yeah,
Which I'd hope like, at least like that paint scene at
yeah.
the end was on the sound stage.
I would assume
But
so. Yeah,
which yeah, like come to think of it, the other kind of overlap between both of these movies using the same mall is that they both use the pet store and snakes in it.
that's funny.
Which okay, the guy in Phantom of the Mall freaking deserved it, but
Yeah,
apparently this pet store in a public mall sells a cobra.
right. Yeah,
Like it's not just a snake that's got the full fan out; it's a cobra. It's gonna
yeah,
bite him in the dick and kill him.
you're right. Yeah, that was yeah, that was one of those ones where you're just like, okay, yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And I would say for the most part, Eric and Phantom of the Mall, he was on the right track. I don't think everybody deserved to die necessarily.
Mhm.
I'm good with the Cobra attack guy. That
Yeah.
guy was obviously bad.
Mhm.
But the son of the mall
Mm.
owner
Yeah.
didn't need to die, didn't need to go out the way he did. That was a little mean, but
Yeah. Yeah, that
um
one was mean. But
yeah,
the flamethrower to was it Posner? That's his name.
yeah, yeah,
I was like, yeah, that was kind of deserved.
yeah, yeah. Which is again, why is there a store in the mall selling flamethrowers?
Flamethrowers. Yeah.
I mean,
I
I'll at least
mean, there's the
I'll
flamethrowers in there,
yeah,
and then Chopping Mall, they've got like the Dirty Harry gun and
yeah, the gun
rifles, and
store.
they're selling
Yeah.
gasoline cans in the
No,
hardware store.
yeah, yeah. Now, I will say the 80s there were gun stores. I don't know if there were gun stores in the mall, but there were definitely gun stores like that that could have potentially been in the mall. But yeah, no, yeah. So many unsafe stores in this mall. You would just be, I don't know, safety regulations might
We're
have
gonna sell paint and
prohibited some of that.
gasoline and flares in the same store because it's not a giant fire hazard.
Yeah. It's just ridiculous. But yeah, no, these movies were a lot of fun. They it's I definitely, need to watch more of the Vestron video collector series. I've been getting them all. Luckily, I got a good deal. I had missed the first 16 of them,
Hmm.
um, and I had been hesitating to go back and get them all because I knew that I wouldn't be able to get the slip covers on them all,
Hmm.
and which would have been disappointing. I would have
Yeah.
probably would have eventually gotten them, but Diabolic DVD recently like got their hands on a batch of them, including um, slip covers, and so this was, I don't know, maybe a year or so ago, and luckily I was able to grab all but one that's now out of print of the first 16, all with slip covers, and so my collection is complete except for one. So
Let's see. I think I just have the Chopping Mall, and I have multiple copies of Maximum Overdrive, and I want to say one of them is Vestron. I could be wrong.
yeah, which one?
Maximum Overdrive.
Yes, yeah. That was actually the first of the Vestron video collector series that I got because I saw it at Walmart and I was like, "Oh, I've got to have this. This is one of my favorite dumb movies ever."
Yep.
Um
No, no, we
and
have like 4 or 5 copies of it in my house.
well, you don't need any more after the Vestron video one because that one's pretty stacked up with good features and everything.
Let's see, I
I
think I
guess if
got
they
that one. There was a steelbook release of it
yeah, yeah,
somewhere. I know
yeah,
we got that.
they've been doing some steelbook versions lately of some of these movies, so it's kind of funny.
As they
Yeah,
should.
yeah, yeah, definitely. But yeah, no, it's a good series of movies. Ever since the Maximum Overdrive, that's the one I started with, and I've been getting all of them since then.
Mhm.
And then I was able to go back and get those other ones, which was great. So, but
I should go back because yeah, I haven't seen Blood Diner, but I've
yeah,
listened to podcasts on it, so I'm like, I should,
yeah, I still haven't watched
but
it.
I
It's
haven't.
definitely one that I need to watch though. But yeah, no, it's should be a lot of fun. But yeah, these two
Hmm.
movies were great. It was a fun double feature to watch.
Hmm.
Um,
And part of
and
the what no, what's it, the Sherman Oaks Galleria movie
yeah,
collection, essentially.
right. Yeah, that's definitely, somebody should program a film festival with just with just movies that existed in that mall that were filmed in that mall. That would be a fun film festival.
That would be like even just do like a 24-hour thing
You're
of people
right.
just pop in wherever and see whatever.
Whichever
Then like
movie that they like. Yeah.
then like what do you bookend it with? Like do you end like what do you start with and what do you end it with?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah,
Uh,
it'd be tough, especially because you've got stuff like Valley Girl and Commando,
mhm.
um, that you put in there. So it's like, and any of these movies, they're all kind of wild,
Mhm.
and so it's just like, what would you put in there? What would be the capper on all that? But yeah,
I was wondering if like Valley Girl or Fast Times. Like Valley Girl simply because it's the quote unquote Valley Girl
Right.
of it. And kind of like defines that whole thing. Or
Well,
Fast Times because it does have the cult following. I don't know.
well, yeah, and then and I think Kelly Maroney's in one of the other movies as well. I think she's either
She's in
in.
Fast Time.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Fast
So,
Time.
yeah. So so yeah, so I mean you get a little double feature with her in there. So it's
Hmm.
like, yeah, it'd be you'd have to kind of do it just right to make them all kind of flow into each other.
Yep.
I think it'd be a lot of fun. So, but yeah, no, this was fun. It was
Yeah.
fun talking about. Do you have anything else that we didn't mention that you wanted to talk about? Either one of
Let's
these?
say, no, I don't think so. I think we got the me mentioning my beef from Phantom of the Paradise. So I
Right.
can at least drop that in here. Because yeah, it's like, were these perfect? No. Are they
No.
fun? Especially with
Yeah.
all the trivia involved? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I think sometimes they're more fun to talk about than even to watch. I've
Hmm.
found that that's even where there's a movie that maybe I wasn't as like super into, that talking about it was more fun than
Hmm.
anything. And I think that that's where I enjoy it. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, because I'll sit Phantom of the Mall at like 3 out of 5, but
yeah.
Chopping Mall gets 5 out of 5. No notes. I don't care. It's perfect.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, no, I'll say, I don't give either one of those quite that much, but I will say Chopping Mall is definitely the more fun one to watch.
Yeah.
So if anybody's, wanting to watch one of these and they only got one choice, go with Chopping Mall. It's quick, it's fun. You got a lot of great horror actors in it, and it's just,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just a
I
lot
would
of
agree.
fun.
I would agree with that one. Like,
Yeah.
if he's got one bowl of popcorn and can just watch one, I'd watch Chopping Mall
Yeah,
over it.
definitely. All right. Well, why don't you let people know where they can find you online?
I say, yep, mostly use is Twitter at the number 4, the fire. I'm sure you'll tag me in this because there's also
Yeah.
that, and Instagram
Yeah.
is it's pronounced Igor
Yeah.
of Young Frankenstein quote. Yes.
All right. Well, I appreciate you bringing these
Sweet.
movies to me and coming on and talking to
Uh,
me about
I appreciate you letting me sit in front of a mic and just ramble about movies that I enjoy.
them.
No real rhyme or reason, but it's always so much fun.
Yeah, definitely. No, it was definitely a lot of fun. All right. Well, thank you.
Sweet. Thank you much.
Thanks again to Amber for joining me. On Friday, Donna returns to the show to talk about the Eternals. And on Monday, Christy Adams is back to talk about Death Spa and Killer Workout. Thanks for listening. Creepy and Geeky is a part of the Morbidly Beautiful podcast network. Please check out morbidlybeautiful.com/podcasts for more great shows. If you like what you've heard, please consider giving the show 5 stars and a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Also, please share the podcast on social media to help spread the word. Make sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast app or at creepyandgeeky.com. Music for the podcast is Gratitude, composed by Harper Smith. You can follow the podcast on social media at Creepy and Geeky on both Twitter and Instagram. If you'd like to follow me, I'm Geek Thulu on Twitter and geek.thulu on Instagram. You can support the podcast by ordering teas and more on TeePublic or by donating to the coffee page. All of the links are in the show notes. Finally, don't forget, stay creepy.